but 99% of life that ever lived is now extinct. But some creatures mastered survival for unimaginable durations. Their success lay in 5 critical evolutionary breakthroughs. First, the development of physical armor against relentless predators. But this external defense system offered unparalleled protection. On land, massive herbivores evolved interlocking bony shields. These structures were integrated deep into the creature's biology. And now that we understand armor, let's explore camouflage. Blending seamlessly with the environment became life's primary strategy. Ambush predation required near invisibility to the naked eye. And even giants used countershading to break up their enormous silhouettes. Evolution refined color matching to an astonishing degree of precision. Next, we confront the third strategy, the sheer power of gigantism. Our size became its own ultimate defense mechanism, rendering most threats irrelevant. The ground itself trembled under the weight of these titans. Their bones show incredible density required to support such mass. And however, maintaining that size required immense, constant foraging efforts. But this leads us to adaptation number 4, specialized feeding structures. Teeth evolved into complex batteries for processing low-nutrient flora. Marine life developed filtering systems to harvest microscopic plankton. Predators, conversely, streamlined their bodies for explosive velocity. Claws and specialized gripping structures became essential tools for the hunt. Sensory acuity was paramount for locating rare food sources. Now that we understand feeding, let's examine environmental mastery. On the 5th secret, physiological tolerance to extreme conditions. Or internal biological mechanisms regulated temperature without modern controls. Some adapted to survive even when their aquatic worlds dried up. They could enter states of suspended animation for years at a time. But these combined traits created ecosystems of specialized survival specialists. Every scale, every tooth, tells a story of environmental negotiation. The heavily armored creature drinks cautiously, relying on its shell. Evolution also experimented with insulating layers for temperature regulation. But defense was a trade-off protection versus agility in the hunt. Aryan schools, armor density often increased for communal defense. But gigantism served to deter attackers simply through overwhelming bulk. Camouflage meant the difference between eating and becoming the meal. An adaptation also meant enduring periods of severe environmental scarcity. Some used elongated snouts to search for buried tubers and roots. But fossil evidence captures these moments of evolutionary negotiation perfectly. These changes were driven by random mutation, refined by natural selection. Defensive armor became heavier, sometimes evolving into offensive weaponry. The adaptation didn't always mean growing bigger, sometimes it meant gaining the air. A vision acuity provided a massive advantage over slower senses. Juveniles often relied solely on camouflage to survive their vulnerable early years. Safety in numbers compounded the protective benefits of individual size. The carnivore's adaptation was focused entirely on rapid, efficient dismantling. Even these giants were ultimately subject to shifting planetary pressures. The evolutionary arms race between predator and prey never truly ceased. The most successful often balanced multiple survival traits simultaneously. But internal efficiency defined how long these massive bodies could sustain themselves. The tapestry of life was woven from these fundamental survival techniques. Every surface, every texture, was a lesson in persistence. An adaptation is never finished, it is a constant state of response. We can trace their gait, their weight, even their speed. Armor worked underwater, just as effectively against crushing pressure. The resting required absolute trust in the effectiveness of their concealment. But gigantic size provided security, but demanded immense energetic investment. Not every survival story involved being the biggest or the toughest. But these 5 pillars, armor, camouflage, size, and specialized function, defined epochs. But understanding their survival is understanding the blueprint of life itself.